When mistakes happen, we can protect our ego or we can protect the relationship. Research on medical apologies reveal a truth that applies far beyond hospitals. Healing often begins when we stop defending ourselves long enough to tell the truth. Welcome to Spiritual Geography. I'm Joni Miller. For years, hospitals were told never to apologize after a medical mistake. The fear was that an apology would increase the likelihood of lawsuits. But that's not what happens. When some hospitals began openly disclosing errors, apologizing, and explaining what would change, lawsuits often decreased. The answer may be that lawsuits are not always about money. Sometimes they're about being heard. A family wants someone to say, "This happened. It shouldn't have happened. We're sorry. We're going to do better." People respond differently when they encounter honesty, accountability, and evidence of learning. Research on these programs shows that successful approaches generally combine 4 elements: transparency about what happened, acknowledgement and apology, fair compensation when appropriate, and concrete changes to prevent recurrence. But this applies far beyond medical mistakes. We all make mistakes, and knowingly or not, we probably have caused harm to others. So, what do we do when we discover we've caused harm? Because every human being eventually will. We've all believed things that turned out to be incomplete, if not outright untrue. We've all hurt people. We've all made decisions we would make differently now. The question isn't whether we'll be wrong. The question is what happens next. Lately, I've noticed how rare saying I was wrong has become. In public life, in institutions, and sometimes in our personal relationships, we seem far more comfortable assigning blame than accepting responsibilities. There are 2 very different responses to being wrong. We can defend, protect our ego, deny, deflect, blame, minimize. Someone else must be responsible. Or we can repair, protect the relationship, even if it's just the relationship with ourselves. Acknowledge, listen, learn, change. Make amends where possible. My first marriage ended in divorce. The first separation came after my husband had an affair. When we reconciled, both of us spoke truth, spoke pain, and spoke culpability. Yes, he had an affair, but I was not blameless. As painful as that period was, it was the first time I stopped asking only what had been done to me and started asking how I had contributed to the relationship we had created together. It was the most honest part of that 7-year marriage. I went to therapy. I started looking deeper. I began paying closer attention to what I did, what I said, and how I affected the people around me. In contrast, my ex-husband didn't stay in self-reflection for long. 2 years later, after another affair, we divorced. The marriage ultimately didn't survive, but something important came out of it. Many people think the purpose of admitting we're wrong is to fix the outcome, but maybe the deeper purpose is to live in reality. Sometimes reality repairs the relationships. Sometimes reality ends the relationship. But reality gives us something defensiveness never can: the possibility of growth. Accountability isn't accepting blame for everything. It's being willing to see clearly the part that belongs to us. Once we can do that, learning becomes possible. Integrity isn't proven when we're right. Integrity is revealed by how we respond when we're wrong. When was the last time you heard someone say, "I was wrong"? Not, "I misspoke," not, "you misunderstood," not, "someone else is responsible." Just, "I was wrong." This feels like a precious commodity these days. Yet trust in our relationships, our communities, and our institutions depends on our willingness to live in reality together. Many of us assume admitting fault is somehow dangerous, but perhaps what is most dangerous is refusing to see ourselves clearly. Once we start protecting our self-image at all costs, growth becomes impossible. Accountability isn't accepting blame for everything. It's being willing to see clearly the part that belongs to us. Whether it's a marriage, a friendship, a medical mistake, or an entire nation confronting historical harm, healing often begins with the same words. This happened. It shouldn't have happened. We acknowledge it. We're going to do better. Facing ourselves honestly is an act of love. Facing the harm we've caused is an act of love. Choosing to do better is an act of love. And perhaps that's where healing begins. In love. We don't understand the mysteries of the universe, but we can grow more love. Love for ourselves, love for others, and love for the infinite mystery that lays beyond our understanding. Thank you for tuning in.